So I get remanded in custody, and that's two times in a matter of a couple of years. And to say the least, my head wasn't happy about it, but you've got to get on with it. The thing what keeps you going is there's prisoners in there who are doing life on the convicted wings. There's people who are on remand and getting life. So when you know you're getting a not guilty, it makes you feel happy when you think, well, they're getting life, I'm going to do a good few months on remand, but I'm getting out. But the same thing again, getting visits every other day, every other day. Now I'm more interested in getting parcels on visits, getting money, postal orders sent in for me canteen, £30 a week with me prison wages, working in a noddy shop, putting magnets together, a fixed job, £4.50. So my prison wages my wages altogether was £34.50 a week. You could smoke in prisons then, so you got your tobacco and your ciggies handed in the visit. So £34.50 on food, cereal, long life milk, margarine, sauce, all these things, orange juice, black puddings, tuna fish. You got a good shop for that. And if you wanted, say, an extra £15 worth of food, you could do a little, what's known as £3 worth of heroin in prison for £15 worth of food. And it went on. I didn't know where Susan Dooley was. I elected to have an oral committal where they have to go in court in the magistrates and pick you out. When she got in the court, I realised it was Susan Quinn. Susan Dooley, who I didn't know her name was Quinn, that's why I didn't know it was. I thought the rat. So I plead not guilty. Goes back to Walton. Now, once you put a plea in of not guilty, you just have to wait. You don't get a court date. You wait to get a letter to say when you're going up for plea. It's usually from 6 weeks to 3 months. Then you go up and you put your plea in. And then you wait to get your trial date. I ended up doing about 8 months on remand. During this time, prison, the smell of it, the life, wasn't good. You're allowed to shower once a week unless you go to the gym. So I would go to the gym nearly every day, not to do the gym, to get a shower, but you'd have to do a bit of a workout. As a screw would go, you're not getting a shower if you don't work out. So, you'd have to do it. But everyone is hustling and bustling in jail. And at this time, I got put in, I was in a dormitory. Now, I ain't carrying myself and another 3 people in a dormitory with drugs. It ain't happening. So, I was padded up with a jock, Mr. K, that's all I'm calling him, from Aberdeen. He got a visit, and they never brought him no drugs up, but they passed him 200 quid and he brought it back to the pad. He said, I'll buy drugs on the wing. I said, will you fuck? You're giving that 200 quid to me and I'm handing that out in the visit and I'll get drugs brought in for you. and that's what I did. In the cell was another fella, I can't remember his name, he was a psychopath, he was in for murder. And I used to sleep, where they put bunk beds together, there's a metal bar where the bunk bed slips on, they slip in the middle. But when you split them into single beds, you've got this piece of bar. I used to sleep with that under my bed. And in the dormitory, you keep all the mops, all the brushes for when they're doing clean out. Once a week, every cell gets a little 20-30 minutes to clean and mop and brush the cell out. But you know, as usual, me from the first time, it was not new then, was it? I was running around London as always Jack the Lad. No, I wasn't a bully, and you know, there was loads of harder fellas in there than me, but I just kept myself to myself. I got on with me bird, and that is the best way to do your bird. Keep your head down. Don't let no one intimidate you, because if they do, you got to throw PP9 in a sock and just go in the cell and swat them over the head with it. It's simple as. You're not letting no one take advantage of you, Nick. And if people know you're not going to let people take advantage of you, they won't try and take advantage of you. But you know, I used to swallow my balloons, keep them in my mouth till the end of the visit, swallow them, get back to the cell, drink of salt water, fingers down my throat, first go, balloons up. Or sometimes on a visit, all depending on where I was sitting, I could plug them. Plugging them means sticking them up your backside. I'd put a little bit of shampoo on my backside before I went on a visit. I've even been sat right in front of the screws where he sits, you know, in the box at the front of the visits, sat in front of him and got a couple of balloons and plugged them. But I waited and waited and waited. I got me plea date, went up, pleaded not guilty, and got me trial date. Now I can remember my trial date was, I think it was in September, but I think it was the 24th of September, I'm not sure. I think it was. And on the 23rd, the screws come to me pad at about 10 o'clock and said, get your kid together, you're going to court. And I'm showing them the letters, arguing, blah, 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 blah. I'm not up till tomorrow. Well, the screw wasn't having it, and you're not arguing with them. You get your kids together, you get your belongings, and you go to court. By this time, the sweat boxes, coaches, etc., they all leave the jail at about 8:30, between 8 and 8:30, up to 9 maybe, to get to the Bridewell or the Crown Court. When you go to the Crown Court, you usually go on a coach. But one thing I didn't mention, this remand, when I first got remanded in custody, I comes in, there's 2 rooms, there's one for remands and next door to it is the convicted. Who was the first person I bumped into on reception was my dad, and I hadn't seen him for a few years. And I'd had tobacco handed in at the Bridewell. I said to my dad, have you got any tobacco? He said, no, have you? I said, yeah. And then he went, yeah, I'm alright, I've got some. So he was thinking I had none and was going to ask him for some. And he was going to stick down, or was he? Well, anyway, he started putting in for the IWV, inter-wing visits, inter-wing prison visits, IWPV. But, you know, he was only using me because I was going over to see him on H-wing. The nonces used to be on H-wing. They were doing the prison up at the time, so the nonces had been on every wing. As one wing was empty all the time, they were doing one up. But he was only using me for the 2 ounces at the back of the week. He used to say, "Have you got any gear?" Now, my dad wasn't into the gear, but he was doing 2 years for supplying. And the crafty bugger said my son was a heroin addict. I was doing it to keep his habit. But I never told him I got any bed bugs, drugs in on visits. I ended up getting pissed off with the dormitory. You know, gizzard suit. So I got padded up with someone, and he did not take drugs. So everything I was getting was mine. Told him to shut his mouth, say none. I got various pad mates as well who come and go. I remember I got one guy, never been in prison, shitting himself. I said, "Listen, the day after court you get your canteen." He said, "I've got plenty of money." Got a pen and paper, I gave him a list. I said, "Get them, and when you get them, they're mine." I think he was from Rochdale. Can't remember his name, he's from Rochdale. I said, "Now, when you get the canteen, it's mine, because they'll side sack you." I'm a scouser and I know them all near. So I wrote him a nice hefty list out. But I learned him the ropes. He got to know all my scouts mates. He was on slap out, and I'd be running around the landings getting echoes and newspapers for us to read at night and whatnot. But you know, I was, if you like, in charge of the pad. He was the slap out man. But eventually, I got my trial date, as I say, and the screws come and got me the day before, and I was arguing with him, but they took me, and they took me in a taxi. Now I got there, and then I got there, and my solicitor said, "I've got good news and bad news." I said, "I'll have the bad news first." He said, "They've said throw your hands in, they'll give you 18 months today." I thought, weird. I said, "No, I haven't done it." He said, "No, I'm only joking, they're dropping the charges." They knocked at the door, and she said she realised now it wasn't me, it was my brother. Well, me and my brother like chalk and cheese. So, when I goes up, the judge gets Jack in the box and asks him a few questions why he's dropping the charges now, and he admitted he'd had his doubts all along. Because when someone's saying, "Look, if I done it, you'd be getting a no comments interview. I don't know who Susan Quinn is." I realised who it was, Susan Dooley, at my oral committal, as I stated. So, the charges got dropped, but I still had to go downstairs to get my property and sign for my money and whatnot, and got out. When I got out, I saw my solicitor, and he said that we couldn't say in the court, but she's been charged with perjury, and she assaulted the police officer when he went round to her house to say she had to go to court to give evidence against me. So I turned up at the magistrate's court the next day to see her in court. She got bail. I didn't do what she done. I didn't go and say, "Oh, she's offered me money," or "she's done this," or said that. I just let it go. Woman or no woman, when I did see her later on, after she'd done her 12-month sentence, pleaded guilty. Her kids went into care. I did give her a kick up the arse and told her to stay out my way. And twice, and that time I'd done about 8 months on remand. So you're talking 6.5 months and 8 months. You're talking 14.5 months, which is a 29-month sentence, which is not far off a 2.5 year sentence. A month off a 2.5 year sentence. They'd had a 2.5 year sentence out of me for fun. The bastards. Then I went back home, and no lie, got back on the methadone, but things weren't good at home. My brother was away because whilst I was on remand, he got 3 years for a burglary out of town. Didn't burgle on his own doorstep, went out of town, and it was a commercial burglary. That means a shop, not a house. But I remember going to Stoke Heath in Shropshire. It's called an inter-prison visit. You've got to be doing over 3 months on remand, and the person has got to be doing over a 12-month sentence. When I visited my brother, I took him loads of tobacco and a few other goodies, you know. But anyway, got me not guilty. She gets charged, and she ended up getting 12 months for the perjury and assault, which I thought was a very lenient sentence, considering she's made a false allegation against me in the 8 months. That's a 16-month sentence. Not far off 1.5 year sentence, and she gets a 12-month sentence. But it is what it is. Went home, started living with my mum. Eventually, I become homeless after a couple of years of being in my mum's. Euro 96, I was homeless, living on the streets, and I started selling The Big Issue. I will tell you how I coped living on the streets for 4 years in my next episode. Thank you very much for listening. Like, subscribe and share. I want to get monetized, so please watch the video all the way through. I would really appreciate it. I've had a rough life, haven't I? Few experiences, a few bad experiences, getting accused of things I haven't done. Life in care, putting up with the drunken father, giving me mum a slap, giving me and my brother a slap now and again. But you know, it is what it is. I always had that mindset that no matter how much I'd be pushed into the ground, I'd always pick myself back up. No matter what, I would pick myself back up. So in the next episode, life on the streets for Mr. Mosley. Thank you, folks. Good health, and have a nice evening and a nice day tomorrow. Enjoy, like and subscribe. Thank you.